Hello YouTube. In this video I'm going to talk about AnchorPane and about buttons in JavaFX. AnchorPane is one of the JavaFX layouts. He helps us to organize all content created by the programmer. I am talking about graphical user interface elements. It allows the edges of child nodes to be anchored to an offset from the AnchorPane edges. It also allows to place elements by using coordinate system. Let's write a method in which we will create a button and add this button to the main pane. This method will be private and it will not return any value. Buttons can be created by making a button class object. If we want to add a button to main pane, we have to get its children list and add our button to it. Run the application and we can see that it works. The button is in the top left corner. In JavaFX, the behavior of the buttons is determined using the listeners mechanism. We can listen to events such as pressing the button, releasing it, entering with a mouse, and so on. Now I will show you how to do it, how to define its behavior. For example, if we want to know when a mouse enters on our button, we can use this method. When a mouse enters on our button, this method handle will be called. Let's check if it works. If we want to define a particular position for our button, we have to call two methods: setLayoutX and setLayoutY. These were the basics. Now let's create something more interesting. A regular JavaFX button is too ordinary. We want to create something more suitable for the game. Let's create our own button class, which will extend regular JavaFX button. Let's call it SpaceRunner button. One more thing, click there, choose package presentation and click hierarchical. Now we want to create a package in which we will store our resources, our images and fonts. Let's call it resources. Now I want you to copy these two images, this one and this one, and this font. Let's extend a regular JavaFX button. I will create three constants, one for the path of our font and another two to define a style of our buttons when they are pressed and released. This string will define a style of our button. First of all, we want to set a background color of our button to be transparent. Because we will set our own images. Now we have to create a constructor. In which we will pass a string that will be shown. Now we have to write a method in which we will set our font. If our application will not be able to load our font, we will set a default Verdana font. Now we have to create two methods, one for setting a pressed style and one for setting a released style. Right there we have to set a preferred width and height for our button. and a default style. These values are equal to our image width and our image height. Now you might wonder, why am I calling this method? And this method is because the pressed button image height is 4 pixels smaller than the released one. Last thing that we have to do is to create our listeners. We have to listen when the mouse is pressed, when the mouse is released, when the mouse has entered, and when the mouse has left. First, we have to check if the button that the user has clicked is the primary mouse button. If it's the left button, we can set our layout. Our style, sorry. When a mouse enters on our button, we want to create a drop shadow effect. Let's call this method in the constructor. And now let's check if our class works. Okay, thank you for listening and see you in the next video.